Welcome back. We continue our focus on the national conference. You do remember they've had some turbulent times when ideas contend. Well, we looked at that yesterday, but even the day before. But you know what? When they resumed sitting yesterday, here is what transpired.
For the third day in a row, delegates gathered in plenary hoping that a resolution was in the offing on the contentious issues of revenue sharing formula and the derivation principle. Some of the delegates spoke on their expectation for the session.
I am optimistic that that spirit of bricksmanship, the mindset of statesmen, that patriotic intent, the spirit of give and take, and the urge to empathize with each other will prevail. And then eventually we will be able to move over this issue without having to cast a single ballot.
And 18% I think is reasonable. The status quo was supposed to be 13%. So I'm expecting that the 18% will go through today.
I think there will be another row over the recommendation of the ad hoc committee. But we'll look into it. It's either they take the whole package or we stand by the committee's report.
Now, this appeared to be the mindset of other delegates. An appeal was, however, proposed to the conference chairman.
I ask that we as a committee sit and look at this document so that we shall, in the spirit of consensus and agreement, come to you and say, yes, every signature you see here, the signature of the original members and the unders of all of us.
This prayer was granted and a break of 1 hour was announced. It allowed some delegates to speak candidly to each other. When conference resumed, some other amendments were taken as the House waited for the committee to return with an agreement. When they eventually came in, it was obvious that all was not resolved.
This evening, we have not reached an agreement. Therefore, any report submitted to you has no support from us. Thank you very much.
This led to another break in proceedings. Eventually, the chairman made this announcement.
I'll be meeting with the 50-wise man, committee chairman, and their deputies, 11 o'clock here. And the committees should proceed with their meeting.
Once again, the House was forced to adjourn. Some of the delegates spoke on the development.
It's a national fund, but some people are proposing that it should be exclusively for Northeast, Northwest, and North Central as intervention, while there's a counter proposal that the fund should be a pool, which should be for Northeast, North Central, and Northwest, but as well as other areas that need such intervention. So that's the only bone of contention, and I'm sure that can be resolved by tomorrow.
We have seen this insurgency as a national problem. Boko Haram is a national issue. So the solution should also be national. So that's the issue here, you know. And then when people say, why should we be giving more for having oil?
All the delegates were calling for different members of the committee to be included into the committee that will be sitting and discussing from now till probably by Monday. And I believe by the time they sit and deliberate, we would come to some kind of agreement. But you know, everything, there should be a blanket cover. There should be an inclusiveness of every part of the nation so that everybody feels they're included in whatever it's going on.
Now, it's clear that there will be different meetings between different groups of delegates over the weekend. What is not clear is if these issues will be resolved or if this will be the end of the road for the conference. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
Welcome welcome back to Sunrise. Well, what a session that was. So you get a feeling of what transpired there. But we're joined now by Wale Oshun to help us connect some of these dots and perhaps respond to some of the thoughts going through your minds. But remember, he's a chairman of Fanny Ferry Renewal Group. He's also a member. He was a member of the Constituent Assembly at the time and a former member of the House of Representatives. But primarily, he's a delegate at that conference. Morning, and thank you for coming on today.
Good morning.
Were you at that rowdy session?
Well, if you say it's rowdy, yes, it was, but it was necessary.
How? Why?
Well, I mean, you know, lawyers talk of caveat emptor. So one would also speak about listeners beware or viewers beware, for the simple reason that there is absolutely no way that an issue of this nature will be discussed and you will not have a lot of emotions. It's about money. It's about money. And all it traces is that for so long, Nigeria has relied on one source of revenue, and that is oil. And for so long, Nigeria has fallen into the trap of a sharing mentality. Without generating income, every part of the country wants a share of what does not belong to them. And that is why I speak about the emotions that such can raise. If you have not, and I'm talking of the whole country now, a section of the country is producing the oil. And they claim there is vast devastation of their terrain. And because of the terrain, because of the environment, because of the ecology, they also claim that for every unit payment that they get, what that unit of payment will do in other more friendly ecosystem, like you talk of the arid north, even of the rainforest southwest, but that what 1 unit of dollar will do in southwest, in the arid north, you may need $10 to do the same thing in terms of road construction, infrastructural development. You are talking of. So there's a lot of emotion involved. That we own this commodity, and all we can see is devastation. But we from other parts of the country also lay claim to the fact that, well, this oil belongs to all of us, and I don't know in which sense, that we are entitled to a share of it. And so when you discuss all things, emotions must come in. And that is why I said it's an understandable commotion, if you call it commotion.
So clearly, yes, all of them like money the same way, equally. Yeah. But the thing is this, I mean, do you see a way out of this?
Well, ultimately there must be a way out. I say this, my gut reaction all along had been, let everybody go back to the drawing table and take what belongs to them. It may be difficult.
Are you talking about what?
I'm talking
absolute control of
all resources. Yes, absolute control of all resources. This country, in so many diverse ways, are blessed. I mean, it's blessed. This country, in so many diverse ways. Mineral resources. I'm told that Nasarawa State alone sits atop of more than 33 minerals, and each one of them is a revenue generator. And then we are complaining because our leaders are used to the cheap way out of gathering once a month and then talking about FAC, about sharing oil money. And it creates its own difficulty because there are many missing gaps, because there is this sense of right that each one of us, whether from Lagos to Ogun to Sokoto and to Borno states, that we feel that we owe, that we feel that we are entitled to. But then the issues are much more complex. They are much more complex. And that is why we will continue to have the kind of emotion that we had whether day before yesterday or yesterday. But in many democratic settings, because of my own experience, I'm not really put off when you see such things. Of course, the ordinary citizen outside might feel, why do you have supposedly responsible people behaving this way? But when you are talking of human beings, you are talking of emotions.
Let me quickly just drop this before you go on. Pardon me. I'm wondering, if you had a larger representation of younger people at that conference, do you think it will still be this contentious?
No,
I mean, the younger generation.
No, incidentally, in that group, what you have is a cross-section of Nigeria. I always talk of about 4 generations of Nigerians. 4 generations. There's a 22-year-old girl, and within that bracket of 22 to 35, you have quite a large number of members. And then you also have, of course, the great-grandpas, people between the age of 80 and 92. And then in between, you have a spread, a very healthy spread. A very healthy spread. And I don't think, when people talk about, maybe they were not elected, and I say to myself, and of course I challenge people and say that there is no election that could have brought out, one, the mix, then the composite experience that can be generated in that place. You have those who, of course, destroyed the economy. You have those who carried out the coups. You have those delinquents in the universities who...
So it's a mixed bag.
So it's a mixed bag. But you also have the corporate leaders who evaded tax, but who created employment. It's a mixed bag, thoroughly mixed bag.